Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the Acts of the Apostles. Today we are in Acts chapter 16, and we're in the beginning stages of Paul's second missionary journey. You might recall that he had taken Silas as his companion and is now revisiting some of the churches he and Barnabas had founded on their first journey. Paul is going to the churches of Galatia. Those churches include Lystra, Derbe, Iconium, and Antioch of Pisidia. Let's read about his visit to them. Paul came to Derbe, and then he came to Lystra, where a disciple named Timothy lived. Timothy's mother was Jewish and a believer, but his father was a Greek. The believers at Lystra and Iconium spoke well of Timothy. Paul wanted to take Timothy along on the journey, so he circumcised him because of the Jews who lived in the area, for they knew that his father was a Greek. And as they traveled from town to town, they delivered the decisions reached by the apostles and the elders in Jerusalem for the people to obey. And the churches were strengthened in the faith, and they grew daily in numbers. Wonderful little description here of Paul's visit to these Galatian churches. Now, it's been probably 2 years, maybe 3, since Paul's first journey when he evangelized these churches. So he's glad to see them again. Now notice it says that he delivered the decision from Jerusalem to them. That is the letter of the Jerusalem Council. Now remember, these Galatian churches are primarily Gentile churches, so the debate over Gentile conversion was important to them. And some of the debate had even reached them, and they had had discussions and controversy about it. Paul had written the letter of Galatians in this time period to address some of the issues. But now, of course, he brings to them the letter from the Jerusalem Council, which encourages them all that as Gentile believers, they are fully part of the family of God. All that's required is that they believe in Jesus. It's a great day when Paul delivers that letter. And notice he says all the churches were strengthened in the Christian faith, and they grew. They grew daily in numbers. It was truly a wonderful occasion when Paul could visit with them and strengthen them in the faith. Also during this time, Paul picks up another traveling companion, a young man by the name of Timothy. Now, Timothy had been converted, he and his mother, on Paul's first missionary journey, and they had grown tremendously in the faith. Timothy's a young man. He shows tremendous potential. He shows spiritual gifts. And Paul recognizes he can be a valuable asset on the missionary journey. And so he invites Timothy to join the missionary party. So it becomes Paul and Silas, and now Timothy. Timothy for many years will be a companion of Paul. Later, 2 of the letters we know in the New Testament are written by Paul to Timothy. The letters are 1st and 2nd Timothy, but that comes many years later. Now it says that Timothy was Jewish, his mother was Jewish, but his father was a Greek who had obviously never converted. Timothy is still considered Jewish because his mother was, but he does have that mixed parentage. That is, mother a Jew, now a believer, his father a Greek, a Gentile. Now, we don't know if his father converted. It does not say so. It just says his mother had converted. Actually, we don't know if his father was even still alive. His father may have been deceased by this point. We just don't know. But anyway, Timothy is well recommended, and so he becomes part of the missionary journey. Now, notice it says Paul had him circumcised. Even though Timothy was Jewish because of his mother, his father being a Greek, they had not circumcised him as an infant. Paul now has that done. You might wonder why. Paul had just won the argument that Gentiles don't have to be circumcised. They don't have to become Jewish to become followers of Jesus. Why did he have Timothy circumcised? Well, I think because Timothy was Jewish through his mother. And to make it easier with the Jewish communities in the area who knew of Timothy and his parentage, his background, Paul is willing to do this to help ease the gospel's approach to Jewish synagogues. Now, when it was a matter of principle, Paul would never give in. When it was a matter of someone demanded, you got to be a Jew first to become a believer, Paul said, absolutely not. But when it's a matter of voluntarily sacrificing your rights to advance the gospel, Paul was always willing to do that. He could make those distinctions. So this was not a matter of necessity, but Paul thought it would be a help to the ministry if Timothy would be circumcised. Timothy was quite willing. And so this just simply removes an obstacle to reaching Jews for the gospel. And Paul wanted that obstacle removed. But anyway, he adds Timothy to the missionary band. So now it's Paul and it's Silas and it's Timothy. The Galatian churches are glad to have had this visit from Paul. They've been encouraged. Now Paul says, on to the next stage of the journey. Where does Paul go next? He's revisited the churches from the first journey. Now he wants to go further west. And as we'll see in our next session, he continues to move westward with the gospel. But we'll look at that next time in our 5-minute Bible study in the Acts of the Apostles. Hope you have a great day today. Hope you know the presence of the Lord with you, because he is. And I'll see you for our next 5-minute study. Have a good day.